but I've never seen such an awesome man. Just because I'm not used to living in the 300 square meter villa at home. He actually ran into the wild alone and directly returned to his ancestors. Not only do you build cook stoves with your bare hands, refining lime, make a wild version of concrete, but also using self-fired tiles and red bricks. Build a grand brick hut. It's just amazing. 18-year-old Ash is obsessed with wilderness construction. So I brushed too. After the construction video of Tian, came alone to the rainforest and began to survive in the wilderness. I saw that he first collected some vines in the woods, cut them into uniform lengths. Follow my constant sign a few more times. The principle of looking at quadrants, woven into a vine. And we went down to the river to collect some clay. First, use the ancient method of hand rubbing to pinch out a base. And then they layered the net with mud. Slowly adjust the arc until it is squeezed into a standard shaped clay pot. I believe anyone who has studied junior high school mathematics knows. To make the clay pot strong and durable enough, then it must be fired with fire. So Ash drilled wood to make fire. Lighting a pile of firewood, put the pot in the fire. Keep filling up around. After that, it only needs to be burned on fire for 2 hours. It gets a strong and hard clay pot, although the appearance looks a little deformed. But it's absolutely quack when it's used. And he goes to the side and he digs in a pile of dirt. Mash hard with a stick. Then go to the river to get some river water. Pour into the soil and stir together. And you get a bunch of wild cement. After that, the mud is spread on the ground. And make a little stove with it that burns. Benefit from often watching Arwen's construction videos. ZZ has a good understanding of the entire construction process. It can be said to be a handle pinch. Then he made a pass out of clay. The air plate is dried and then installed on the stove. And continue to pile up with mud. At the same time, you burn them with wood in the oven. Feel free to let these mud dry and set quickly. And while waiting, ZZ decided to make herself something delicious first. I saw him chisel open a rotten tree trunk. Pour out all the debris inside, then carefully pick out the small insects inside. These are all good things high in protein. As long as the body is hard enough, you can carry it all day after one meal. And he puts them in a lotus leaf. Wrap it in clay from the outside, and then you bake the whole thing. Bake it to see this cooking method. Those who have been beggars must be no strangers. Make sure it's 100% juicy when you take a bite. This way, it can maximize the retention of nutrients in food. And after eating and drinking, ZZ went to the woods to pick up a stone. This stone has a very slim figure, just a little sanding. He can become a sharp axe, and then we use it to align with the root. Just chop hard and repeatedly. A tree chest can be brought down in 2 hours. Then the trunk is cut down to a standard length. Cut a groove in the top. Add burning charcoal to it. Blow harder until the charcoal burns through the grooves. Then you just assemble the axe. They become a sharp stone axe. And since having this handy tool, Shawazi only needs 10 minutes. You can take down a koala. We more than doubled our logging efficiency. Then he chopped the trunk into 2 knots. Then use a chisel to split the log into 2 thin pieces of wood. Here we go. He's going to use these wooden blocks to make a mold. I saw that he would. 2 of the wooden blocks are cut into sharp shapes. Then again, fixed grooves are made on the other 2 wooden blocks. And then you just put them together. It's just a simple wild brick membrane. Then ZZ is. Smear a layer of plant ash on the slate and mold. And then you put the clay in a mold. Hit hard. Scrape off excess material. Then touch it back and forth with your hand to level it. Then you can get a square adobe. And he's doing exactly the same thing in mass production. Only half a month. He actually made 500 of these adobe bricks. Then wait until these adobe bricks dry naturally. Branches put them in the oven for firing. According to the size of this stove, it can only hold 30 adobe bricks at a time. And each furnace, it takes the days into nights to burn. It was a long process. Fortunately, the quality of each batch of fired bricks is very good. It looks very sturdy and durable. But these bricks are not enough. He also has to make a batch of cement. For this, he built a small stove alone next to it, and in order to increase the temperature in the furnace. Then he made a blower out of clay for his ancient hand rubbing technique. That's really the old lady climbing the stairs. Can't you accept it? And then we use the shape of the trunk. Wrap the clay on it. Make a matching ventilation duct. Then cut off a section of banana leaves. Flip it to the top of the branch. Wrap it around with a rope, so you get one that can go back and forth. Rotating small fan. Then the blower is fitted to the fan. Then connect it to the ventilation duct. Install a bracket directly above the fan. Add a handle that stretches. After, it can be used to provide sufficient oxygen to the furnace, so that the fire inside can burn. But these trees alone, the stick cannot yet reach the temperature that Shawazi needs. So next he went and collected a bunch of dry trees. Branches were piled together and burned in flames for an hour. And just as they were about to burn out, quickly extinguished with water. So you get a bunch of homemade wooden blankets. Subsequently, Ash went nearby to collect a large amount of dead bark. Ignite and let it fully burn. Collect the burned ashes, filtering with rattan baskets. Then add an appropriate amount of river water to it, after stirring well by hand, shaped into the shape of a lion's head. And he put them in the oven. Add the wooden blanket you practiced before. Pull the blower again to let it fully burn. After they continue to burn for 4 hours, remove the lion head from it. Knead into powder in turn. Then add river sand into it and stir well. You can get a batch of wild virgin concrete. Now everything is ready. Then you can start building the house. I saw Shawazi digging the foundation in the clearing first. Look at this size. It would be a 1-bedroom listening area. Then wet the ground with water. Then spread the concrete evenly. Then you can lay slate on it. And with these slabs, after leveling the foundation, before you can continue to stack the wall on it. However, these bricks, the block also needs to be wetted with water first. Then it can be slowly laid on the mortar. This is to increase the absorption capacity between them. Take a look at this method. I know that Xiaozi has at least 20 years of skills in moving bricks, and even without any accurate tools, the walls he built are still very straight. This is really 3 sets of closed lost to sets. Does he really have a set? However, when the wall reaches a certain height, the bricks refined before will be consumed. So Zizi had to do the same, refining a batch of new bricks. Fortunately, I have my first experience. The efficiency of burning bricks this time has improved a lot, so for the next 3 months, he made bricks over and over again. Make cement, then continue to build the wall. After the wall is built, Ash then started building her own bed. I saw him in the corner first. Splash a wall, and pour lots of loess in the middle. Tamp it down with your feet. Then, continue to build 2 layers of bricks in the middle and on both sides. Then fill in the gaps on both sides with loess. And the gap in the middle is for him to keep. Just cover it with a layer of slate. Then a dense line will be formed at the bottom. Closed ventilation duct. And the pipeline. It goes all the way to the corner of the bedside. Because Ash will build a fireplace here. Connect to it. In the future, you just need to light firewood in it. You can provide heat to the entire bed, so Mom wouldn't have to worry about him freezing. The top layer of yellow also needs to be covered with loess. Guarantee that no one can see the mystery hidden in it. And last but not least, that is, we have to build a matching shallot outside the wall. After all, only the smoke is discharged outside the house, to ensure that the next day can wake up normally. Subsequently, Ash fires firewood in the fireplace for testing. This smoke exhaust effect is really good. And wait for him to finish this step. The next step is to deal with the roof part. He first went to the woods to collect a large number of logs, and using wild concrete, fix them and turn on the roof ridge as a gauge. But if you want him to achieve the effect of shielding from wind and rain, then you also need to lay a layer of tiles on it. So, next, Xiaozi will start to make tiles by hand. I saw that he broke the bamboo pieces first and folded them in half. Make a boxy tile mold, and then you put in a lump of clay. Repeated rubbing adjustment. Let him fill the entire mold. Then touch it with your hand to level it. Bake by the fire, in order to facilitate subsequent installation and fixing. Zizi also poked a small hole in the tile in advance, and after these tiles are all dried, it also needs to be put in the stove. Perform high temperature firing. Just wait a day and a night. These tiles become very hard, and when all the tiles are fired, the next step is to make hemp rope to hold the tiles. I saw Xiaozi take off a piece of plant and bark. After hitting it hard with a wooden stick to soften it, immediately put it in water for cleaning. Subsequently, repeat this set of beating and cleaning operations until it becomes completely fibrous. Then hang them in the sun. Exposure to the sun for a whole week. And then you can program them. Become a rope. Then take out the tiles that were burned before. Run the rope through the hole, and we attach it to the beam. And then you just do exactly the same thing. You can lay all the tiles in sequence. It's on the roof, but the position of the corners. Zizi also needs to cut the tiles. This will ensure that the entire roof is tight-fitting. And for the joints on the roof ridge, Z needs to make a batch of bends separately. He first made the tile model, then put it in a pre-dug pit to dry. Is that so? You can make them into a slightly curved shape, and then, again, fired at high temperatures. You can put them on the roof, and after building the main body, then Xiaozi, prepare for an upgrade to the ground as well. I saw that he first stirred a pile of mud and spread it on the ground. Then find the fired red bricks. Mats on top act as floors. This way he can get a very clean one. Clean floor. Then arrange the door area in place. Then the temperament of his mansion immediately stood out. But this mansion now has one glaring shortcoming. That is, there's still a lack of a super stylish door. So Ash picked a tree monster in the woods. It takes 10 minutes to put it down. Cut off the parts you need. Then go back to the house. Combined with the height of the gate, it is reprocessed. First chisel both ends into a pointed shape, used as bamboo shoots, and then the middle third. Cut to holes. Put the charcoal in and burn it. Let them become to deep grooves. Then, find some more branches with right-angled bends. It fits in the groove and acts as an anklet. After chiseling to bamboo shoot holes on the door, the log can be installed. Then Ash found a lot of smaller logs. 3 or 2 strokes cut off their bark. But to assemble these logs into door panels, he needed to make another handy tool. I saw he picked a lucky tile. After knocking off the corners around, then put it on the slate and polish it repeatedly. Make him look like this. Then I found a sharp pebble. Use it to dig a round hole in the middle of the tile. Then you clip it to the very top of the branch. Secure with rope. Then the tile is passed through the branch with stretched handles and rope. Is that so? They form a simple hand drill. And as long as you have this tool, Xiaozi can be very easily drill holes in logs. Then you just need to nail the wooden flute into it again. You can build one out of them. Stunning door panels. And finally, install 2 homemade card sleeves at the corners. Then cover the entire door panel before, on the anklet. Then a high-end atmospheric high-grade door. It's done. And Ash went down to the river and harvested a bunch of reeds. Remove the branches and leaves first, leaving only the middle rod. Then, according to the Pythagorean theorem, weave them into a mat. Due to the size of the bed, he had already measured it in advance, so the mat is just right on top. As of now, Zizi is already in this jungle. Lived for 364 days and 24 hours. And until this moment, he is the real. Own a home of your own. So to celebrate my new house move, he ran straight to the tree and dug out an ant nest. Pick out the ones with fuller meat, also wrapped in clay. Put it in the stove for cooking. Take it out in 2 hours and have a full meal. Then he lay on the bed and fell asleep peacefully.